I want to talk about Patrick Mahomes. He's not an elite fantasy quarterback anymore. Now, Lindsay always made fun of me. Make sure you put fantasy in that. Okay? I know. Listen, he's going to go down in history as one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the game. Guys, he scored 15 points last night. He has now failed to score 16 points or more in 5 straight games dating back to last year. He's been held under 17 points in 10 of his last 17 games. Now, by comparison, Josh Allen, who is elite, has scored 17 plus points in 13 of his last 17 games. And in those 13 games, he scored over 20 points in every single game. There's a difference between fantasy football and real football. Right now, Patrick Mahomes has got a large enough sample size where I am not comfortable calling him elite. He has averaged 17 points per game in his last 17 regular season starts. You know who's averaged more? Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy. This ain't 5 games. This is 17 games now. But you can't tell me that you drafted Patrick Mahomes and you're happy with 15 to 17 points per game. You want 20 plus. That's what we used to get from him. We don't get it anymore. Patrick Mahomes is not an elite fantasy quarterback right now.
This year's a new year with a totally different wide receiver room. So I understand your desire to attach the result from last night to last year's stats. I think they're totally different stories, and they're not relevant in terms of establishing a pattern. 2 years ago in 2022, who was the number 1 scorer in fantasy? Let's just cut to the chase. It was Patrick Mahomes. He was the number 1 fantasy scorer, more than any running back, more than any wide receiver, more than Josh Allen, number 1.
In 2022,
to say he's just not an elite fantasy quarterback, like I need to understand the why. If you say this is who Patrick Mahomes is as a fantasy quarterback, I think that's a mistake. Personally, I think that's a mistake.
It's who he's been for the last 17 games.
Exactly, in a totally different situation. That's all I'm saying. I just don't think that they're even comparable.
He's looking at single-digit points. So all I'm saying is, like, listen, don't come at me. The facts are the facts. But this is 17 games now where he's Jared Goff, basically.